Commander Jake Morrison stood in the command center looking at the big screen that showed space around Earth. 3 months ago, alien ships had appeared at the edge of their solar system. The ships were long and silver, much cleaner looking than the human ships that had fought wars for decades. These aliens called themselves the Xanthari, and they said they came in peace. Jake had been fighting aliens for 15 years. He knew what enemy ships looked like when they came to destroy human colonies. These Xanthari ships were different. They moved slowly and sent peaceful messages. Their leader, a tall creature with shiny skin and 6 eyes, had asked to meet with Earth's government. The alien said his people wanted to make friends with humans. Admiral Lisa Carter walked over to Jake and pointed at the screen. She was an old soldier who had seen many battles. Her face showed the worry that came from years of making hard choices. "They are offering us everything we ever wanted," she said. "Better medicine that can cure diseases we cannot fix. Clean energy that will never run out. They want to let us join their big group that trades with planets across the galaxy." Jake nodded but did not smile. Something felt wrong about this whole situation. The Xanthari ambassador had been very eager to help humans. Too eager. In Jake's experience, when someone wanted to give you everything for almost nothing, they usually wanted something much bigger in return. The peace meeting had happened 1 week ago in New York. World leaders from every country came to hear what the aliens had to say. The Xanthari ambassador stood tall on the stage, his 6 eyes looking at everyone at once. He spoke in perfect English, which was strange since they had never met humans before. He talked about friendship between species, and how humans could learn so much from joining the Galactic Cooperative. Dr. Richard Hayes had been studying aliens for 20 years. He knew more about how different species behave than anyone else on Earth. After the meeting, he had told Jake something that made him very worried. "I have read reports about the Xanthari from other planets," Dr. Hayes had said. "Every story says the same thing. They are smart and they only do things that help them. They never give gifts unless they get something better back." The peace treaty was 300 pages long. Most people did not read all of it because the important parts seemed simple. Humans would stop fighting with the Xanthari. The aliens would share their technology. Everyone would be happy. But Captain Amy Foster had read every single word. She was the best person on Earth at finding hidden meanings in documents. What she found made her sick to her stomach. Amy had called Jake to a private meeting 2 days ago. She spread the treaty papers across a table and pointed to sections that most people would never notice. "Look at page 847, she had said. "It says that human military ships must have Xanthari observers on board. Page 212 says that all human weapons must be registered with Xanthari officials. Page 99 says that any human planet with more than 1 million people must accept a Xanthari monitoring station." Jake had read those sections 3 times before he understood what they really meant. "They want to control our military," he had said. Amy nodded. "It gets worse. Look at the timeline. Within 2 years, half of our ship captains must take orders from Xanthari commanders. Within 5 years, all human military decisions must be approved by the Galactic Cooperative Council. But guess who controls that council? The Xanthari had been very clever. They made the treaty sound like it was about friendship and cooperation. But hidden in all those pages were rules that would make humans into servants. The aliens would know where every human ship was located. They would know what weapons humans had. They would be able to stop any human military action they did not. Jake walked to his office and called a meeting with the people he trusted most. Colonel Ben Parker arrived first. Ben was in charge of human intelligence operations. He had spent years learning the secrets of alien governments. Lieutenant Sarah Martinez came next. She was the best at breaking alien codes and reading their secret messages. Dr. Patricia Kim was the last to arrive. She was a military expert who could predict what enemies would do in battle. Jake closed the door and turned on a special device that would stop anyone from listening to their conversation. "I think we are in trouble," he said. "The Xanthari did not come here to make friends. They came here to take control of humanity without firing a shot. Ben leaned forward in his chair. I have been thinking the same thing. My sources on other planets say the Xanthari have done this before. They offer peace to species that are getting too strong. Then they slowly take control until those species cannot fight back anymore. Sarah pulled out a small computer and showed the others what she had discovered. I managed to intercept some of their communications. They are using a code that took me 2 weeks to break. The messages I decoded are very interesting. They talk about the human problem and how to neutralize the threat without causing a galactic incident. Dr. Kim had been studying star maps and troop movements. I have been watching their ships. They say they brought a small diplomatic fleet, but one count 47 vessels. That is enough firepower to destroy every major city on Earth. They positioned their ships in a pattern that would let them attack our colonies and cut off our supply lines. Jake felt his anger growing, but he kept his voice calm. So they want U.S. to sign this treaty. Then they will use the monitoring stations and military observers to learn everything about our defenses. When they are ready, they will attack, and we will be helpless to stop them. The room was quiet for a long moment. Finally, Ben spoke up. There's one thing they might not know about humans. We have been preparing for this kind of situation for a very long time. Every human colony has emergency plans. Every ship captain knows what to do if Earth is attacked or captured. We learn from our own history that peace treaties can be traps. Jake smiled for the first time in weeks. Then we need to spring a trap of our own. Colonel Ben Parker sat in a dark room deep underground beneath the Earth Defense Command building. The room had no windows and thick metal walls that blocked all electronic signals. This was where humans planned their most secret operations. Ben had called together the best intelligence officers from around the world. They had one job: find out what the Xanthari were really planning. The aliens had been on Earth for 2 weeks now. They stayed in a special building in Geneva where diplomats from different countries could meet them safely. Every day, more human officials visited the Xanthari to discuss the peace treaty. The aliens seemed happy to answer questions and explain their technology. But Ben knew that smart enemies always acted friendly while they prepared to attack. Lieutenant Sarah Martinez had been working without sleep for 3 days. She sat at a computer that could intercept radio signals from space. The Xanthari thought their communications were completely secret, but Sarah had found a way to listen. The problem was that alien languages were very hard to understand. Even with the best translation programs, most of the messages made no sense. I think I found something important, Sarah said as she called Ben over to her computer. On the screen were lines of text that looked like random letters and numbers. This message was sent from the Xanthari ship to somewhere far away in space. I cannot translate all of it, but some words keep appearing over and over. Ben looked at the screen. He could not read alien writing, but he trusted Sarah's judgment completely. What words do you keep seeing? Sarah pointed to several lines of text. The word for human appears 43 times. The word for a threat appears 29 times. And this symbol here means elimination or removal. They are definitely talking about getting rid of humans, but I need more time to understand exactly how. While Sarah worked on breaking the alien codes, Ben sent other agents to watch the Xanthari delegation. Captain Tony Rodriguez was in charge of monitoring all the alien ships in space. He used special telescopes and sensors that the aliens did not know humans possessed. What Tony discovered made Ben very worried. The Xanthari lied about how many ships they brought, Tony reported during their daily meeting. They said they came with 12 vessels for diplomatic protection. I count 78 ships hiding behind asteroids and small moons. Some of those ships are bigger than anything in the human fleet. Ben studied the pictures Tony had taken. The hidden alien ships were positioned in a pattern around the solar system. It looked like they were preparing to surround Earth and cut off any escape routes. How long would it take them to reach Earth if they decided to attack? Tony checked his calculations. If they all moved at maximum speed, they could be here in 6 hours. Our defense fleet would have maybe 2 hours to prepare for battle. Against that many ships, we would lose quickly. The news got worse when Dr. Patricia Kim finished analyzing the peace treaty. She had been studying every page with a team of lawyers and military experts. They found dozens of hidden problems that would make humans helpless against alien control. The treaty has a section about technology sharing, Dr. Kim explained to Ben's team. It says the Xanthari will give us their advanced medicine and energy systems. But look at the fine print on page 156. It says that all human scientists who work with alien technology must report their research to Xanthari supervisors. Any discoveries belong to the Galactic Cooperative, not to humanity. Ben realized what this meant. They want to know everything we learn from their technology. If we discover something that could help us fight them, they will know about it immediately. Dr. Kim nodded. It gets worse. Page 203 says that human colonies must accept Xanthari cultural advisors who will help us understand galactic society. But these advisors have the right to veto any local laws they think are harmful to galactic peace. They could stop us from building weapons or training soldiers. The most dangerous part of the treaty was hidden in a section about trade regulations. The Xanthari wanted to build monitoring stations on every human world with more than 500,000 people. These stations would watch space traffic and make sure no one was smuggling illegal goods. But the stations would also have powerful sensors that could detect military movements and weapon stockpiles. Lieutenant Sarah Martinez finally succeeded in breaking the alien communication code after working for 5 days straight. What she discovered confirmed everyone's worst fears. She printed out the translated messages and brought them to Ben's office with shaking hands. They are planning something called Operation Silent Dawn, Sarah said as she gave Ben the papers. It will begin 30 days after we sign the peace treaty. The first phase involves using their monitoring stations to map all human military assets. The second phase is a coordinated attack on our outer colonies to cut off Earth from its resources. The third phase is the invasion of Earth itself. Ben read through the messages twice to make sure he understood correctly. The Xanthari had been planning this operation for months. They knew exactly which human colonies were most important for food production and raw materials. They had identified the locations of human weapon factories and military training centers. They even knew which human leaders would be most likely to organize resistance efforts. The aliens had made one critical mistake. They assumed that humans would trust them completely once the peace treaty was signed. The Xanthari expected human leaders to share all military secrets with their new alien partners. They thought humans would be grateful for alien technology and would not question Xanthari motives. Ben called an emergency meeting with Commander Jake Morrison and Admiral Lisa Carter. They met in the secure underground room where no alien sensors could detect their conversation. Ben spread the translated messages across the table and watched as the two military leaders read through them. Admiral Carter was the first to speak. They really think we are stupid enough to fall for this. They plan to use our own trust against us. Commander Morrison looked at the timeline for Operation Silent Dawn. 30 days after we sign the treaty. That gives us about 6 weeks to prepare if the signing ceremony happens on schedule. The question is, do we refuse to sign and start a war now, or do we sign and try to turn their trap against them? Ben had been thinking about this problem for days. If we refuse to sign, they will attack immediately with the ships they have hidden around our solar system. We might be able to defend Earth, but our colonies would be destroyed. If we sign the treaty, we get time to prepare our own surprise. Admiral Carter understood what Ben was suggesting. We pretend to fall for their trap while we set up a bigger trap of our own. We let them think they are winning right up until the moment we strike back. Commander Morrison smiled. The most human thing we could do is use their assumptions about us against them. They think we are too trusting and too eager for peace. Let's prove them right until it is too late for them to do anything about it. President Jonathan Miller signed the peace treaty on a sunny Tuesday morning in front of cameras from around the world. The ceremony took place in the United Nations building in New York. Thousands of people cheered as he shook hands with the Xanthari ambassador. News reporters called it the most important day in human history. Children in schools watched the signing on television and dreamed about traveling to alien worlds. But President Miller knew something the crowds did not know. While he smiled and made speeches about friendship between species, secret orders were being sent to human military commanders across the galaxy. The real war was about to begin, and it would be fought with deception instead of guns. Commander Jake Morrison watched the ceremony from his office at Earth Defense Command. As soon as the president finished signing, Jake activated a communication system that could reach every human colony without being detected by alien sensors. The message he sent was simple: Operation Mirror has begun. All units proceed with assigned tasks. Maintain normal appearances at all costs. Operation Mirror was the name humans had given to their plan for turning the Xanthari trap against the aliens themselves. For 6 weeks, human agents had been preparing for this moment. They had identified every Xanthari weakness and developed strategies to exploit them. Now it was time to see if their planning would work. The first part of Operation Mirror involved welcoming the Xanthari monitoring stations with great enthusiasm. Every major human colony requested to have aliens come and help them become better members of galactic society. Colony governors made speeches about how honored they were to learn from such an advanced civilization. The Xanthari were so pleased by this response that they sent their best technicians to build the monitoring stations as quickly as possible. What the aliens did not know was that the monitoring stations were being built exactly where humans wanted them. Captain Tony Rodriguez had spent months studying Xanthari technology and had discovered that their sensors worked best when they were placed on high ground away from sources of electromagnetic interference. Humans made sure to offer the aliens perfect locations for their equipment, locations that would also be perfect for human weapons to target when the time came. Engineer Kelly Thompson was in charge of a project that the Xanthari thought was completely harmless. She was building what appeared to be atmospheric processors on 17 different human worlds. These machines were supposed to help make the air cleaner and more comfortable for both humans and aliens. The Xanthari were so impressed by human environmental efforts that they offered to help make the processors more efficient. Kelly smiled and thanked the aliens for their generous assistance. She did not tell them that the atmospheric processors were actually disguised weapon platforms. Each machine contained an electromagnetic pulse generator powerful enough to disable every piece of Xanthari technology within 50 miles. The aliens had helped her improve weapons that would be used against them, while the Xanthari focused on building their monitoring network. Human intelligence agents were busy learning everything they could about alien technology and tactics. Lieutenant Sarah Martinez had been promoted to head of the new Alien Communications Division. Her job was to intercept and decode every message the Xanthari sent to their homeworlds. Sarah had discovered that the aliens were reporting their progress to military commanders located hundreds of light years away. The messages showed that the Xanthari were very confident about their plan. They believed humans were cooperating completely and suspected nothing. Some alien reports even praised human eagerness to please their new galactic partners. Dr. Patricia Kim was working on a different part of Operation Mirror. She had been studying the way Xanthari ships moved and fought. Human military databases contained information about alien tactics gathered from decades of small conflicts along the frontier. Dr. Kim used this information to develop new strategies that would surprise the aliens completely. The Xanthari fight like they think, Dr. Kim explained to a group of ship captains. They are logical and careful. They make plans and follow them exactly. But humans fight with emotion and instinct. We change tactics in the middle of battle. We take risks that logical creatures would never consider. This gives us an advantage they cannot calculate. The most important part of Operation Mirror involved hiding the true size and strength of the human military. The Xanthari thought they knew exactly how many ships and weapons humans possessed. They had been watching human space traffic for months and counting every vessel they could detect. But they had no idea that humans had been building a secret fleet in the asteroid belt. For over 10 years, Admiral Lisa Carter commanded this hidden fleet from a base built inside a large asteroid. The base looked like a mining operation from the outside, but it contained shipyards capable of building the most advanced human warships. These ships used stealth technology captured from other alien species in previous conflicts. The Xanthari. Sensors could not detect them at all. "We have been preparing for this kind of war since we first left Earth," Admiral Carter told her officers. "Every human colony has hidden weapon stockpiles. Every civilian ship can be converted to carry military equipment. Every human citizen knows what to do if we are attacked. The Xanthari think we are soft because we want peace. They are about to learn that humans fight hardest when we are defending our homes." Colonel Ben Parker's intelligence network had been feeding false information to the Xanthari for weeks. Human agents pretended to be worried about their own military leaders. They complained that human ships were old and poorly maintained. They expressed doubts about humanity's ability to defend itself against a superior alien civilization. The Xanthari believed these reports because they confirmed what the aliens already thought about humans. The deception went so deep that some humans began to believe it themselves. News programs showed interviews with experts who worried that humanity was becoming too dependent on alien technology. Politicians made speeches about the need to trust their new galactic partners completely. Only a few hundred people knew that it was all an elaborate performance designed to make the Xanthari overconfident. Captain Amy Foster had been assigned to work directly with the Xanthari monitoring teams. Her official job was to help the aliens understand human society and culture. Her real job was to learn everything she could about alien equipment and personnel. She spent hours every day talking with Xanthari technicians and asking innocent questions about their technology. Amy discovered that the aliens were not as united as they appeared. The Xanthari military commanders who planned Operation Silent Dawn were impatient with the slow pace of their infiltration mission. They sent increasingly urgent messages demanding faster progress. Some alien technicians complained privately that they were being pushed too hard by their superiors. "They are under pressure from their own leadership," Amy reported to Commander Morrison. "Their military wants to attack as soon as possible, but their diplomats want to make sure the monitoring network is complete first. This disagreement is creating stress in their organization. We can use that stress against them." As the weeks passed, humans continued to play their role as grateful junior partners in the galactic community. They attended alien cultural events and expressed wonder at Xanthari achievements. They asked for advice about human problems and thanked the aliens for their wise guidance. But underneath this performance, humanity was preparing for the most important battle in their history. The Xanthari had made their fatal mistake when they assumed that humans would react to alien contact the same way other species had reacted. They expected humans to be overwhelmed by superior technology and grateful for alien protection. They never considered that humans might see through their deception and prepare a counterattack. In 6 more days, they would learn just how wrong they had been about humanity. The Xanthari attack began exactly when human intelligence predicted it would. At 03:00 hours on a Thursday morning, alien ships moved out from their hiding places behind asteroids and moons. They had waited 31 days after the peace treaty signing, just as their intercepted messages had indicated. Commander Jake Morrison watched their movements on his command center screens and smiled grimly. "All human forces, this is Earth Command," Jake announced over the emergency communication network. "Operation Silent Dawn has begun. Execute Operation Thunderclap immediately. Show them what humans do when someone tries to trap us." The first sign that something was wrong came when the Xanthari monitoring stations on human colonies suddenly went dark. Alien technicians inside the buildings found themselves sealed in as emergency blast doors closed automatically. The air system switched to a special mixture that made Xanthari physiology shut down peacefully. Within minutes, every alien observer on human worlds was unconscious and captured. Captain Amy Foster led the team that took control of the main Xanthari command post on Earth. She had been working with these aliens for weeks, learning their routines and gaining their trust. When the emergency began, they naturally turned to her for help understanding what was happening to their communication network. There seems to be some kind of technical malfunction, Amy told the confused aliens as human soldiers quietly surrounded the building. Let me help you contact your ships and find out what is going wrong. The Xanthari technicians gratefully accepted her assistance. They had no idea that Amy was leading them into a trap until it was too late. Gas canisters hidden in the ventilation system released the same harmless but effective compound being used at monitoring stations across human space. The aliens fell asleep before they could send a warning to their attack fleet in space around Earth. The Xanthari fleet discovered that their carefully planned surprise attack had become a nightmare. Admiral Lisa Carter's hidden ships emerged from the asteroid belt just as the alien vessels reached their attack positions. The human fleet had been waiting in formation, using stealth technology to remain invisible until the perfect moment. Xanthari fleet, this is Admiral Carter of the Terran Defense Force, Lisa announced over all communication frequencies. You came here under false pretenses and planned to attack innocent civilians. Surrender immediately or face the consequences of your deception. The alien fleet commander was so shocked that he failed to respond for almost 5 minutes. The Xanthari had expected to find human ships scattered and unprepared. Instead, they were facing a coordinated defense force that had clearly been planning for this moment. Worse yet, they were outnumbered by ships they had never seen before. Major Chris Baker commanded the assault team that captured the Xanthari flagship. His soldiers used boarding pods equipped with the same electromagnetic pulse generators that Kelly Thompson had hidden in her atmospheric processors. The alien ship's advanced systems shut down completely, leaving the crew helpless as human marines took control of every critical section. Their technology is impressive, Chris reported to Admiral Carter as he secured the bridge. But they designed everything assuming they would be fighting enemies who use similar equipment. Human weapons and tactics are so different from what they expected that their defenses are almost useless against us. The Xanthari had made their biggest mistake when they assumed that human colonies would be easy targets. They sent small attack groups to capture settlements on the outer frontier, expecting to find frightened civilians with minimal defenses. Instead, they found colonists who had been preparing for this kind of attack for decades on the mining world of New Colorado. Engineer Kelly Thompson activated her disguised weapon systems as soon as Xanthari ships entered the atmosphere. The electromagnetic pulses disabled every piece of alien technology within range, causing their ships to crash in the desert. Colonial militia forces were waiting with captured alien weapons and quickly overwhelmed the stranded attackers. We have been planning for this day since we first arrived here 12 years ago, Kelly told the captured aliens. Every human colony knows that we cannot depend on Earth to protect us. We have to be ready to defend ourselves. You thought we were helpless farmers and miners? You were wrong. Lieutenant Sarah Martinez monitored Xanthari communications from her position at Earth Defense Command. The alien messages she intercepted showed growing panic and confusion among their scattered forces. Fleet commanders were demanding explanations for the communication blackouts. Ship captains reported that their sensors were being jammed by unknown human technology. They are realizing that everything they thought they knew about us was carefully constructed lies, Sarah reported to Commander Morrison. Their intelligence report said we had maybe 200 combat-capable ships. We just showed them over 800 vessels they never knew existed. The psychological impact of the human counterattack was even more devastating than the military damage. The Xanthari had based their entire plan on the assumption that humans were naive and trusting. They had expected their peace treaty deception to work perfectly because it had succeeded against other species in the past. Dr. Patricia Kim had studied alien psychology for years and understood exactly what the Xanthari were experiencing. They are not just facing military defeat, she explained to the command staff. They are facing the collapse of their fundamental beliefs about how the galaxy works. They thought they were the smartest species in space. Now, they realized that primitive humans outsmarted them completely. Captain Tony Rodriguez led the pursuit of alien ships trying to escape from the solar system. His squadron used the same stealth technology that had hidden Admiral Carter's fleet to appear suddenly around fleeing Xanthari vessels, most alien. Captains surrendered immediately when they realized they were surrounded by ships they could not detect. "This is not how space battles are supposed to work," one captured Xanthari officer complained to Tony. "Your tactics make no sense. You attack from impossible angles and use weapons that should not exist. How can we fight an enemy that does not follow the established rules of warfare?" Tony smiled as he placed the alien in custody. "The established rules were written by species that think like you do. Humans never agreed to follow those rules. We fight to win, not to look civilized while we lose." The battle lasted only 6 hours from start to finish. The Xanthari fleet that was supposed to conquer Earth found itself scattered and defeated by an enemy they had completely underestimated. Their monitoring network was captured intact, giving humans access to alien technology and intelligence about other potential threats in the galaxy. Lieutenant Helen Torres took charge of interrogating the captured Xanthari leadership. She discovered that the aliens had files on dozens of other species they had conquered using similar deception tactics. The peace treaty trap had worked successfully for over 200 years, making the Xanthari confident that it would work against humans as well. "You have to understand," the Xanthari fleet commander told Helen during his interrogation. "Every species we encountered before reacted the same way to first contact. They were overwhelmed by our superior technology and grateful for our guidance. They never suspected that our offers of friendship were deceptions. Humans are the first species that saw through our strategy and prepared a countertrap." Helen nodded sympathetically while recording everything the alien said. "That is because you never met humans before. We have been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know every trick that intelligent beings use to gain advantage over their enemies. When you tried to deceive us, we recognized the deception immediately because we have used similar tactics ourselves." As news of the victory spread across human space, colonists and military personnel celebrated the success of Operation Thunderclap. They had proven that humanity could defend itself against any threat, no matter how advanced or clever. More importantly, they had established themselves as a major power in galactic politics through intelligence and preparation rather than simple military strength. Commander Morrison addressed the Earth Defense Command staff as they watched the last Xanthari ship surrender. "Today we learned something important about our place in the galaxy. We are not the strongest species or the most advanced, but we might be the most prepared. While other civilizations plan for the scenarios they expect, humans plan for the scenarios we fear most. That difference just saved our entire species." 3 weeks after the failed Xanthari attack, representatives from 12 different alien species arrived at Earth to request meetings with human leaders. Word of humanity's victory had spread quickly across the galaxy, and other civilizations wanted to understand how such a young species had defeated the powerful Xanthari Empire. Commander Jake Morrison found himself hosting diplomatic meetings instead of planning military operations. The first visitors were from a species called the Karathi, who had been fighting a losing war against Xanthari expansion for over 50 years. Their ambassador was a small, furry creature with large eyes that seemed to show constant worry. She had traveled for months to reach Earth after hearing impossible rumors about a human victory. "We cannot believe what we have heard," the Karathi ambassador told Jake during their first meeting. "Our intelligence networks reported that the Xanthari fleet was completely defeated in less than 1 day. Our species has been trying to resist them for decades without success. How did humans accomplish what we could not?" Jake smiled and offered the ambassador some Earth coffee, which seemed to calm her nerves slightly. The Xanthari made the mistake of assuming that all species think the same way they do. They used a strategy that worked against logical, trusting civilizations, but humans are naturally suspicious. We spent months preparing for their betrayal while pretending to fall for their deception. The second group of visitors came from the Veldari Republic, a confederation of worlds that had been conquered by the Xanthari 15 years ago. Their delegation included former military officers who had been forced to serve as administrators in the alien occupation government. They wanted to know if humans would help them regain their freedom. Admiral Lisa Carter met with the Veldari representatives in a secure conference room. She spread out star charts showing the locations of Xanthari military bases and supply lines. "We captured extensive intelligence data from their fleet," she explained. "We know where they keep their ships and how they move troops between conquered worlds. With the right strategy, liberation is definitely possible." The most interesting visitors were from a species called the Nexari, who claimed to be the oldest civilization in the galaxy. Their representative was an ancient creature that communicated through telepathic projections. It had lived for over 1,000 years and remembered when the Xanthari were just one small empire among many. Dr. Richard Hayes was chosen to meet with the Nexari because of his expertise in alien psychology. The telepathic conversation was difficult for him, but he managed to understand the creature's most important message. The Xanthari had been expanding their territory for centuries by using the same peace treaty deception on every species they encountered. Humans are the first civilization to recognize the trap and prepare an effective counter-strategy, Dr. Hayes reported to President Jonathan Miller after the meeting. The Nexari believe our victory will inspire other species to resist Xanthari expansion. We may have started a galactic revolution without meaning to. President Miller realized that humanity now faced a choice that would determine their future. Role in galactic politics. They could use their victory to demand territory and resources from the defeated Xanthari, or they could use their new reputation to build alliances with other species who wanted freedom from alien domination. The decision was made during a meeting of Earth's top leaders in the secure, underground conference room where Operation Mirror had been planned. Colonel Ben Parker presented intelligence reports showing that the Xanthari controlled over 200 star systems and had military bases in dozens of others. Their empire was vast but also vulnerable now that their reputation for invincibility had been shattered. "We have an opportunity to reshape the balance of power in this region of the galaxy," Ben explained. "But we need to be careful about how we use our advantage. If we appear too aggressive, other species might unite against us out of fear. If we appear too weak, the Xanthari might recover and try to attack us again." Captain Amy Foster had been studying the political situation on worlds conquered by the Xanthari. She discovered that many of these civilizations had been advanced and powerful before their defeat. They had been weakened by the same peace treaty deception that had nearly trapped humanity. The key is to help these species regain their independence, without making them dependent on us instead, Amy suggested. "We can provide military support and technical assistance, but they need to rebuild their own governments and defense forces. That way, we create grateful allies instead of resentful subjects." The new strategy was announced during a galactic broadcast that reached every known civilization. President Miller spoke from the United Nations building with representatives from dozens of alien species watching from the audience. His message was simple but revolutionary. "Humanity does not seek to replace the Xanthari Empire with a human empire," he declared. "We believe that every intelligent species has the right to govern itself and determine its own future. We will help any civilization that wants to resist domination by others, but we will not impose our will on anyone." The response to this announcement exceeded every human expectation. Within 6 months, 23 different species had requested human assistance in liberation campaigns against Xanthari occupation forces. A coalition called the Free Worlds Alliance was formed with Earth as one of the founding members, but not as the dominant power. Engineer Kelly Thompson found herself leading technical assistance missions to worlds that had been devastated by years of Xanthari exploitation. Her expertise with disguised weapon systems proved valuable in helping other species prepare defenses against future attacks. She also helped establish communication networks that allowed resistance groups on different worlds to coordinate their activities. Lieutenant Sarah Martinez, became the head of a new organization called the Galactic Intelligence Cooperative. Her job was to share information about Zentari activities with allied species while also gathering intelligence about other potential threats. The cooperative used the same deception tactics that had worked against the Zentari to stay ahead of their enemies. The War of Liberation lasted 3 years and involved military campaigns on over 60 different worlds. Human forces participated in most of these battles, but always as part of multinational coalitions led by the species whose worlds were being liberated. This approach prevented resentment and ensured that humans were seen as helpful allies rather than new conquerors. Dr. Patricia Kim developed new military doctrines that combined human tactical flexibility with the strengths of other species. Karathi stealth technology was integrated with human electromagnetic weapons. Veldari shield systems were adapted to protect human ships. Nexari telepathic communication networks allowed coalition forces to coordinate complex operations across multiple star systems simultaneously. The final battle of the Liberation War took place at Zentari Prime, the alien empire's capital world. Admiral Carter commanded a fleet of over 3,000 ships representing 47 different species. The Zentari had concentrated their remaining forces to defend their home system, but they were facing an enemy unlike anything in their military experience. Captain Tony Rodriguez led the first wave of attacks using tactics that the Zentari still could not understand or counter. Human ships appeared from impossible directions while Allied vessels provided covering fire and electronic jamming. The battle lasted only 12 hours before the Zentari government surrendered unconditionally. The peace negotiations were held on a neutral world chosen by the Nexari. Unlike the deceptive treaty the Zentari had tried to impose on humanity, this agreement was designed to prevent future conflicts rather than enable them. The Zentari Empire was broken up into smaller, independent governments that would be monitored by the Free Worlds Alliance. For 50 years, Major Chris Baker was appointed as the first human administrator of the War Crimes Tribunal that would judge Zentari officials who had participated in the conquest and exploitation of other species. His job was to ensure that justice was served while also preventing revenge killings that might lead to new cycles of violence. The most important outcome of the war was not military or political but psychological. Species across the galaxy had learned that advanced civilizations could be defeated by intelligence and preparation rather than superior technology. The myth of inevitable alien dominance had been shattered by humans who refused to accept defeat. Commander Morrison was promoted to admiral and given command of the new Terran diplomatic fleet. His mission was to make contact with civilizations beyond the former Zentari territory and establish peaceful relationships based on mutual respect rather than deception or domination. "We learned something important during this conflict," Morrison told his officers during their first diplomatic mission to an unexplored region of space. "The most dangerous assumption any species can make is that others will think and react the same way they do. The Zentari fell into that trap when they assumed humans would be as trusting as their previous victims." Lieutenant Helen Torres became Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council, a new organization created to prevent future wars between species. Her job was to represent human interests while also promoting the principle that all